Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Spotlight on Hentsu. I'm going to talk a little bit about the merger and about Portfolio BI as a whole. Um, Give an introduction to myself. I'm Jeremy Siegel. I'm the CEO of Portfolio BI. I've been with the company going on 3 years now. My history, I worked in Credit Suisse as a managing director in the prime brokerage business. I ran a business consulting team globally and worked with thousands of hedge funds over the years, helping them start up, implement new systems and technologies and infrastructure, open new offices around the globe. Chris Blackley, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Blackley, the newly appointed Chief Information Officer for Portfolio BI. My background, I've been now with Portfolio BI for 3 years, and I've seen the growth as we've expanded over time here. Prior to this, I've been with Point 72 and SAC Capital for about 15 years, running various teams in the front, middle, and back office. Kind of related to the now combined entity here, I've had experience with building proprietary OMSs, building out our portfolio management systems, and all the ancillary systems that support those types of products and product suites. To date, most of my time has been focused on our EDM product, and looking forward to now incorporating other members of our management team here as we expand our offering more globally.
And just to introduce the rest of the team, so there's Chloe Schwartz-Apple. Chloe was with us at Lux. We'll go through the history as head of sales. Shailash comes with us from the Hentsu team. He's based in London. Sumit Majan comes from the North Point side. He's based in New York. Evelina runs professional services in the UK for Hentsu, now PBI. And Tatiana comes from us from the Hentsu side. She's in Serbia. So this is the team. And location-wise, we've really grown significantly. So Chris and I started with Lux back in the day. It was just a New York office. One of the benefits of these mergers is now we are truly global. And being global is really important from a follow the sun services methodology, as well as client footprint, and then as well as just understanding clients' needs. Most of our clients, or many of our clients, have offices overseas. This just enables us to understand the rules and regulations and the needs of our different clients on the buy side across the globe. Belgrade is going to be a big part of our scale and oversees follow the sun methodology. That team will continue to grow, as will the New York and London teams. Thank you. So just a little bit of the history on the merger. Lux was a next investment from Credit Suisse. I was one of the folks at Credit Suisse when the initial investment was made. And Lux was historically an Advent Geneva consulting firm. If you needed Advent Geneva installed or other accounting systems, Lux came to the rescue and would do all of the implementation, upgrades, and reporting. As part of that process, they built an amazing data warehouse EDM solution, which then Chris took the reins on and really built it into a premier product in the cloud. And it enables really end user driven technology reporting. So you don't have to go to a developer every time for a report. You can really leverage the technology in front of you. And it's designed to really work with the PMs, the front office, back office across the board. We can talk more about that later for folks that don't know. As you know, we also took on ACA North Point a little over a year ago, fun times during COVID. It's worked out really, really well for us. We've had tremendous growth. This brought us the portfolio management, order management technology, which is must-have software. And we've already integrated these two products together and the two companies together for quite some time. And we really think of ourselves as Portfolio BI, which is now the full front to back platform. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so now we bring on Hentsu. And Hentsu is a merger that's been going on for a long time. It's been one that we've been talking about for several years, waiting for the right timing. So Hentsu is also a next investment from Credit Suisse. I was also at Credit Suisse at the time of this investment, so I was a big part of it. And the team at Hentsu is somebody that we've been working with at Lux/Portfolio BI since inception, helping us set up our cloud infrastructure and our back-end technology. So that we've been really working together side by side for several years. And it just made sense to grow and merge. Thanks. Then this is where we are today. This is our overall. And we really have a few different products and services. And our premier EDM suite is really something that Chris has built from beginning to end. It's data warehouse and reporting in the cloud. It is something that we're very proud of. We've been rolling it out to clients, and once we're in an organization, we typically grow horizontally. We typically come in for one specific issue and then add services either front to back or across the whole organization. The Portfolio BI OMS and PMS is something that we differentiate ourselves. We think it's really an impressive system because it does multi-asset class, multi-currency. It has fantastic pre-trade compliance and allocation methodologies. So if you're an equity long short hedge fund, probably not something you're going to look at and say, wow, because there's a lot of equity long short hedge fund OMSs, but there are very few that do what we do on the multi-asset class. And most of our clients are fairly complex, and they trade across the capital structure, and they trade and have allocations to multiple funds and managed accounts, and pre-trade compliance is extremely necessary in that environment. So those two software products have grown significantly as part of the merger, and we've cross-sold all these three different verticals to our clients. We also have a security master product and a price master product, which can be bundled in or separated. And now our latest and greatest, which is our MSP services, our managed service provider. And this is really something that, again, we've grown into over a period of time. It's something that our clients have really asked us to do. So Chris has taken on a lot of the support for clients' key systems, and they're saying, can you take on this additional system? Can you take on this additional workflow? I'll have Chris just talk about that for a second. Chris?
Sure. So on this side of things, you can imagine as we run our SaaS software, we have a tremendous number of VMs. We are taking more and more initiative looking at some of the other public cloud technologies that are offered. And we're constantly doing an analysis of what things can we leverage that exist, that have been tried and true in the environment, both from an IT perspective as well as a longer term view on how we want to take advantage of these things and offer those back services back to our clients. We look at the different kind of groupings here from hybrid, public, and private. And the reason why that we've chosen to focus on the public cloud is the ability to get much more elasticity in our use of compute, our scalability, isolation among clients. These things we've ingrained not just in kind of in theory, but in the products and how we go about developing them and deploying them and maintaining these things.
So one of the things that's interesting is the cloud, and people don't really understand a lot of the infrastructure. It's basically someone else is servicing the hardware and sometimes the operating system in the infrastructure. So it's basically leveraging Microsoft Azure or AWS from Amazon. And one of the things that Chris and I talk about is the future and the future of technology and some of the benefits. And one of the things that I like about it is that you're always staying up to date with new updates. Chris, why don't you talk a little bit about that cycle and that process?
Yeah, so we like it and we hate it at the same time from an IT perspective, right? Because there is tremendous amount of change and evolution of technologies here. And yes, we leverage Microsoft Azure for our software, our software division. But within that, there's a lot of various offerings that we take advantage of. First, at the top here, we're talking about this identity and access management. This is of prime importance now. Historically, from an IT perspective, we were using the firewall as, a strong, barrier between protecting our internal systems and IP from external, external exploits and vulnerabilities. Now, though, with the public cloud, it's the identity that's much more important. And the adoption of various SaaS software within a given firm, there's various statistics out there that show that, on average, there's 10, 20, 30, it depends on certainly the environment of how many of these applications that you have to manage. We leverage Azure. We've chosen to do that because of the controls that exist, because many of our clients and many in the finance industry have already adopted or are in the process of adopting Office 365. It gives us that direct uh, linkage. We have that SSO capability, so that single sign-on, so that you're not, from an IT perspective, you don't have to manage different credentials across, your systems and then coming into ours. And the IT teams, it's much easier for them to manage. We all, as managers, I'm sure you have to deal with various approvals, and it just makes that much easier when it's all within kind of one branch. In terms of some of the, we indicate here about PaaS. So what is PaaS? So that's platform as a service. These are the technologies that, in our case, Microsoft makes available that we leverage within our system. I've listed some examples here. These aren't just, these just aren't examples. These are things that we use to drive our software business day in and day out. We seen tremendous value from leveraging the Azure SQL databases and managed instances. For those who may not be familiar with the service bus, but this is a messaging and eventing framework that allows us to connect our internal systems as well as connect to external systems as well. And with all of these technologies, there's a management component that's required around this, and we leverage the tools that exist in Azure to do that, such as the automation. We talk about automation on the software side since I first joined. Right, that was a key component for allowing us to scale, allowing for consistency across the environments, both as we migrate from from a development through a UAT, staging and production, but also ensuring that we have consistency amongst our clients for the core platforms that we develop. That's a tenet that we've agreed to right from the beginning. Quickly on some of the Elastic side of things. So it's the initial kind of adoption or interest from the public cloud was to be able to scale up, right? You can easily kind of turn up the dial, so to speak, when you have bursts of compute needs. If you're processing at a certain period of time, you want to turn it up, and then that was the initial focus. But to really get a lot of benefit, it's the ability to be elastic, so to crank up and also come back down, so that you can better control cost, right? And that's something that the public cloud can give you if you have the right controls in place to take advantage of that. These are the things that we are focused on in our side. And I've noticed that over the past year, with our teams working more hours, different hours, that profile has changed. And what's nice is, because the working profile has changed, I can still take advantage of that, allow people to have access to the systems that they need, that they want to have to get their work done, more accommodating to their new kind of timeframes.
So
And then,
just
go
to
ahead.
throw one thing, we're one of the few providers that really just services the public cloud. We have not put a private or hybrid cloud solution in place. We believe that the public cloud is the future. We think that when you invest in a large infrastructure to put in a private cloud, you have to then keep it up to date with technology and hardware and services, and then you're holding clients hostage. You're holding their data, their infrastructure, and you're charging them for services that they might or might not need, as it's a bundled service. The way we view it is really you pay for what you actually need, and there's true transparency in what the costs are, because it's very clear what Microsoft is charging for or what Amazon is charging for, and then what our additional services to service it are on top of that. So it gives clients that real ability to see what things cost, how to predict the future from a compute perspective, from a growth of headcount perspective, or from a reduction, so that you really can predict out what your expenditures are going to be, rather than being dependent to whatever a bundled price you have from one provider to the next.
That's right. Another item that we're now adopting is more of the serverless technologies, and this is something that I've spoken to the Hentsu engineers and architects about as well, because they're seeing that, and they've utilized that for some of the services that they've provided to some of their clients as well. And where we're applying this on the software side, it's an extension. It's an extension mechanism, right? So we develop our platforms. All of our platforms have follow the same kind of methodology of having a standard kind of core code base, and then we refer to them as client injections, but it's a way of having client-specific code execute in you know, in a confined or contained area, and there's different mechanisms for us to deliver that capability, and we're now getting into we're now offering, you know, the ability to do that through serverless technologies, and it's something that actually I have a personal interest in, and that's one that I really enjoy myself. You're going to hear much more about this in the future.
Chris, you want to go through a client use case for us?
Sure. So this is an interesting one where the the requirement was to basically provide an analytics and data processing pipeline into a visualization, you know, into a visualization tool. So there were terabytes of data that need to be processed every month, and in order to do that, um, there needs to be the team had the capability, the client team had the capability of producing the analytics, but they weren't, you know, they weren't as informed on the public cloud side of how to actually structure the technology to support that need. And it's not just, again, this is not just putting it in at a production level, but it's also how do you evaluate that in the different environments. And in this case, you know, the Hentsu staff was putting together this pipeline for them and built out this entire architecture. What I think is interesting in this case and how it relates on the software side is some of our clients have talked to us about, you know, they come to us and talk about a specific need, right, around you know, if it be OMS and PMS, they want, you know, that core function on our EDM, our data management platform. They want a certain, you know, they need certain reports to drive their business. You know, could be various reporting, could be front office and back office and external client investor reporting and that kind of thing. But some of the evolution, right, is how do we now take in larger data sets? And I've been I've told folks in the past that, you know, our platforms aren't big data, you know, we aren't big data, but we might get into it. Now we have the team and the staff that actually has that capability and has gone about you know, creating some of these you know, these data pipelines using the Azure infrastructure, you know, Databricks, Azure Data Factories, and so on. So these are the things that, from a technology perspective, are interesting for us to be able to offer our clients as they, you know, look to kind of take a next step. Whether it's, and I indicate a couple items here, taking that information from analytics. Let's say it's a risk analytics platform, and you want to get marry that with some of the additional kind of operational reporting. There's That's a potential use case. The other one that actually I have some experience with more from my history from my prior roles is on the research and idea generation side. You know, funneling through this data and presenting it in such a way that it can help inform the PMs, right, during their portfolio construction.
One of the things that I like about this whole technology infrastructure is there's a lot less forklift upgrades going forward. You know, it used to have end of life hardware, end of life software. You haven't upgraded in a while. In this new world, you're forced to upgrade on a real time basis and you're forced to stay current. So each client is actually staying more current with their technology. It's easier to service. And then your costs are spread out over time versus at some point having to come in and rip out and replace, which is very challenging. And a lot of clients build their own software. And that's one of the challenges. At some point, folks move on, you have to rip out, replace, or upgrade to newer functionality. This way, you're kind of staying current all the time, similar to, you know, just updates coming in on your phone or on your desktop computer, similar to that with this type of technology. And it's a really added advantage to keep people focused on the future. Um, Next slide, please. So we want to talk about Q&A. I just want to cover a couple things. One is the company's had some tremendous growth on the software side, and that is a huge priority for us. We're not going to go and take on, you know, dozens and dozens of new clients on the Hentsu MSP side. It's something that we're going to grow into slowly with our clients. So we're going to prioritize existing clients that want to use us as an MSP, and then in the future look towards growing it, but in a very methodical way. Most MSPs grow to several hundred clients, and you really can't provide the level of service that Chris and I want to provide to hundreds of clients on the MSP side. It's really very tailored to core clients that we can be involved in infrastructure conversations, people that are doing their own custom dev internally. We can be involved with them and help them through those processes, and really give, like I said, that personal level of service, as well as the fact that engineers are hard to come by. And we really want to supply, top-notch engineers to service our clients, as well as our internal infrastructure, and not really have to worry about just hiring and hiring in that group, because those folks tend to turn over if you just hire dozens of them. So that's really our business plan. It's really to focus on our software, to focus on our infrastructure, and then to provide this MSP service for the right clients, for the clients that really want Chris and my personal attention, for us to focus on, to help them grow and scale. And there's lots of other MSPs out there that are looking to just grow, hundreds of clients, and that might be appropriate for some versus others. So that's just wanted to differentiate, but also just to kind of comfort clients. Clients think, oh, wow, how are we going to scale this? How are we going to grow this? Are we going to start adding in crazy amounts of clients? That's not the goal. The goal is really to be very methodical about it as a team, and really say, does this make sense? Is this in our core wheelhouse? If it is, great. How do we scale it? And one of the benefits of the public cloud is it enables us to scale, as Chris will put in standards and ways to automate a lot of processes instead of variously doing it on a manual basis. So I do want to open it up to questions from the audience. If there's any folks that have questions, sometimes people are shy and they want to ask offline. That's fine as well. Chris and I are both able to take calls, but if there are any questions, we have a few minutes now. Happy for folks to raise their hand and get some, feedback if it's something that we talked about, or maybe even something we didn't talk about. Tara, I don't know if anybody's raised their hands. If not, folks on the phone that know me can know that Chris and I can just talk for another few minutes as well. Doesn't stop us.
Absolutely. The Q&A button is at the bottom of your screens if you'd like to type in any questions that you have for Chris and Jeremy. And as Jeremy has indicated, we can take any questions offline as well. Jeremy and Chris, we don't have any questions at the moment from the audience.
Okay. Chris, or anything else you want to cover before we go?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Okay, good.
All the key points.
Again, for me, having engineers in your time zones, in your regions, is really, really critical. So we're going to continuously hire, and we are continuously hiring right now. Some of our best employee hires have come as recommendations from clients. So feel free. We're actually hiring in various different areas across the firm as we grow and scale. We're trying to be ahead of the curve and always be hiring and looking for growth. So if you have folks that you think might be great additions to the team, please let us know. We're happy to interview and see if we can accommodate. And like I said, some of our best hires to date have come through client recommendations. So it's really helps our clients overall. So thank you for your time. Again, Chris and I and the rest of the team are available to have separate conversations. We just want to kind of give you an update on where Portfolio BI is going. There's no other planned acquisitions in the queue. This is really the team we want. This is the team we want to service. This is our client base. And we're really focused on the buy side, whether it's allocators, whether it's hedge funds, private equity, asset management. It's really that type of space that we are in. We do service a couple of sell side clients, some large administrators and banks, but our primary focus is really on the buy side. So thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate your time, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Jeremy. Thanks, Tara.